Good morning, my name's Bill and I'm an alcoholic, and today's share is called Scales. I was born in London but raised in a pretty city in the West Country. My life's journey, the map of my life, had effectively been drawn by one thing only. It had been drawn by alcoholism, where we left the town of my birth for no other reason than my dad's drinking. And it wasn't too many years after we arrived in our new home that I started drinking as well. My childhood was altogether unremarkable. We had lovely parks to play in. We had local swimming baths that were always freezing cold. I remember going home and all our lips would be blue from the cold. And we played in the streets. There wasn't many cars around then. We had our bikes, of course, and a few toys, but we wanted for nothing, and we were relatively happy. We knew no different. We also had lots of local shops that were very vibrant. They were very exciting. And there were two local families that each owned a chain of shops each that became local institutions where we lived. One chain of shops was the precursor to the modern day coffee shops. It was very much a family-run business that offered tea and coffee and cakes to ladies out shopping, where it held an almost iconic standing in our community, where the customers and those that worked there would always dress up and not dress down. And these shops were called Carradines, and they were owned by the Carradine family. And having tea at Carradine's was considered the height of sophistication. And if you happened to work there, if you were lucky enough to work there, you were considered somewhat to be a cut above the rest. The other family, they owned a chain of grocery stores all over town. But they were, even in the 1960s, considered to be straight out of the 1860s, where long white marble counters sat between the customers and those they served. And the old scales that they used were very Victorian, and I can remember them to this day, where little weights were placed on one side and the ham or butter or cheese on the other. Little weights from, say, a quarter of an ounce upwards to, say, a pound, all sat in a line. And in these shops, service was key, where the customers should always leave the shop satisfied. And these grocery shops were called Bendels, and there were Bendel stores all over town where we lived, and they became a household name. But unfortunately, not moving with the times saw them all eventually close as modern day supermarkets took away their trade. Many years later in Alcoholics Anonymous, I found the same dedication and the same personal service that I remember from those stores of my youth. In AA, there was always someone willing to help me, to guide me, to offer me some advice, to give me what I needed in the way of a program to help me stay sober. And the level of giving ensured every time that I left a meeting, I took away exactly what I went in there for. Those Victorian scales of my childhood replicate exactly my recovery from alcoholism, where the power of my alcoholism was put on one side, and that had to be matched by the power that I found in the rooms, which was put on the other side. It's a never-ending daily ritual of topping up on one side to match my alcoholism on the other. We don't sell cheese or butter or ham in AA, of course we don't. But what we do serve out is a power greater than the power of my alcoholism. And as long as the latter is stronger than the former, I seem to stay sober, and I can go from one day to another without the need to pick up a drink. It's a very simple example of one outweighing the other, where my alcoholism will be with me until the day I die, but where going to meetings feeds me with a spiritual power that I need to stay sober. It's all about weighing up my choices and weighing up what I need to do to stay sober. So when I go to a meeting this evening, instead of 2 ounces of ham or 1/4 pound of cheese or 4 ounces of butter, I'll have a big dollop of serenity, please, maybe a few ounces of faith. I'll have a little packet of hope. And then I'll leave and go home knowing I've been well fed for another day living life as an alcoholic. But today I live life as an alcoholic who doesn't drink. Bill the Shirt, Bristol.